Good morning, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and the rest of the world. You've tuned in to the Mac City Morning Show. I'm your host, Elliot Pierre, and as per usual, we're going to start the show off on the same note we start every show off, with a moment of gratitude. I know you could be doing a million other things with your time, so the fact that you spend it with us truly does mean the world to me, so thank you. On that note, Tanner, hit him with the intro.
How's she cutting, me loves? You're listening to the Mac City Morning Show.
Okay, and we're back. All right, hope you're into a very good episode because this one's going to be a barn burner, I can assure you of that. We have a very interesting man here today. As everybody knows at home, I do not introduce my guests. I let them do that themselves. So on that note, sir, can you please tell everybody who you are and what you're about?
Hello, I'm Dave Bouchier from Fort McKay, originally born and raised in Fort McKay. Have a place in Fort McMurray with my family.
There you go. So born and raised Fort McKay. What was that like?
Born and raised in Fort McKay is, it was a different lifestyle.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember going up and down the road on a gravel road, no pavement.
right.
Like if you were to drive to Fort McKay today, it'd probably take you about 45 minutes
That's right.
from Fort McMurray.
Yeah,
And back in the day, it'll probably take you about 2 hours just to get from Fort McMurray to Fort McKay because
Yeah.
it's all gravel road.
that's right.
Yeah.
And so when you were a child, did you get bussed in or did you stay in town for school or did you stay out there to get your schooling done?
You know what? The schooling I'd done in my career is in Fort McKay the whole time. Never went to high school.
Okay,
Did Fort McKay grade 9, and as far as the school went to was grade 9.
That's
so
right.
and that's where I finished off.
yeah. A lot of people don't know what you just said of how hard it was to get there back in the day. Like you look at the highway now that's twinned and super test is nice and wide. That's not what it used to be like to get up there.
You know, if you go back and look at Super Test Hill, the people that travel the road,
Yeah,
if you're going up the hill going northbound,
yeah,
you'll see their main road on the right-hand side climbing the hill.
that's right.
And my father, Freddie Boucher, was the guy that was part of building that highway
Oh, wow.
where it is today.
Nice.
Yeah, he was a heavy equipment operator.
Okay. And so your parents, what did they do as when you were a child? Did they work for the sites primarily? Was there a contracting company?
My dad was he ran it for about 60 dozers, heavy equipment,
Okay.
and that's what he did in the winter months. And
Yeah.
at the same time, he trapped in the trap line.
Okay.
So pretty much, I was born, raised in the trap line.
Okay. And so with your business, is that how you got it started? You saw what your father was doing. You said, hey, I can do this as well. Or how did that transition take place for you?
You know, I lost my father in 1979. I was only about probably just 13-year-old.
Okay.
Then I see what he done
Yeah.
the years I known him.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I sit in a bank and just watch him run equipment, and I said, "Wow, I wouldn't mind doing it one day." A big deal back then.
Yeah.
Then as I get older, I got a job at Syncroute, my first job.
Okay.
Same thing, running heavy equipment.
Right.
Then I had an opportunity with Fort McKay, a group of companies, to be one of their operators / supervisor / manager. So I
Yeah.
pretty much took that opportunity and went and worked for Fort McKay
Okay.
in the 90s.
Okay. And that gave you the skill set you thought, okay, I figured out how to manage and operate and delegate work with people. I'm going to do this on my own.
Yeah. So when I was working with Fort McKay at the time, at Albion just first started the mine.
Okay.
There are all the trees still standing there.
Yeah.
So I was a big part of that, clearing all the trees. I think that once a year we must have cleared at least about 5,000 hectares.
Okay.
And we'd build a small pilot plant at the beginning of it,
Right.
a test plant
Yeah.
for the future of the big plant that's going to be put in place there. And I was part of that. And it's interesting. It was,
Okay.
yeah.
So you're working for Fort McKay group of companies, and then you started your own company at the same time.
Yeah, so I was in Mackay probably going into my 5th year with
Yeah.
Fort McKay Group of Company managing it. And I had an opportunity on another site for another client,
Mhm.
CNRL, to do some winter work, exploration.
Okay.
And I went out and purchased a piece of equipment,
Yeah.
one D6D dozer, 1978 dozer.
Okay.
You don't see those around no more.
Right.
And I had a family member and a cousin pretty much ran that piece of equipment for me
Mm-hmm.
while I still managed Mackay's business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing. So you just saw an opportunity. Hey, listen, I'll invest in some equipment. I have some people. Go run it. and now it's ballooned into the company that we see today. All started with one dozer.
One piece of equipment, and like
Wow.
I had no funding or backing from the bank,
Right.
so I had to go and get a loan from Indian Investment. That's where I got the loan to buy the piece of equipment.
Okay.
That they gave me a loan for $70,000,
Yeah.
and the piece of equipment was $40,000.
Right.
And I bought the equipment off Fort McKay First Nation group
Yeah.
of companies
Okay.
when they were selling off all their equipment.
Okay.
So I got a loan from Indian Investment out of Edmonton and Enoch.
Yeah.
And of course, you got to do a business plan to get the loan.
Right.
So I put a business plan in place, and I kind of lied through my business plan because I didn't have no work to go with that,
Right.
and I was just gambling myself. So
That's right.
I did a business plan and went back to Enoch. There's Indian Investment. Here's my business plan, and they give me a check for $70,000.
Wow.
Hopefully
Yeah.
they're not mad about that lie.
You know what? And it was so crazy because it was a 4-year loan.
Yeah.
Indian Investment interest was 18%.
Ooh.
18% interest.
Wow.
So I had that bill paid off in 2 years
Yeah.
from the time I got the loan.
Good for you.
And my client wasn't very happy with me because I had it paid off very quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to date you a little bit here. How old were you when this was taking place?
I was probably around 26.
Yeah.
Yeah, 26. Yeah.
Young and dumb.
Young and dumb. Didn't know no education.
Yeah.
No high school. Fort McMurray. No Father Merck. No.
Yeah.
No schools like that, right? Just
Right.
right out of the reserve of Fort McKay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. I made some risky plays in my 20s too, with real estate here in Fort McMurray. Luckily, thank you very much, they all paid off. But I remember there was one day I opened a piece of mail from the bank, and it outlined how much I owed them. And I had a number of houses at the time, so it was a large number. And I just remember going to my wife and saying, like, do you know how much money we owe the bank? And she's just like, yeah, I'm fully aware. She's like, Ellie, do you have like 3-4 houses? Like, that adds up.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, wow. And at the time I was only same age, 26, when I came to
Yeah.
that realization.
Yeah.
And luckily it all worked out. So you have to take risks for the reward sometimes. But I find, like, yeah, when you're in your 20s, you just
Yeah.
think
I
you're
know.
invincible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, before that, I worked at Syncrude, for Syncrude itself,
Yeah.
and when I was 18-year-old.
Right.
Yeah,
18 years old
Eight-
out at Syncrude.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What part of Syncrude did you work in?
I worked in all departments. I started off in the tailings,
Okay.
on the boats, and I ended up in the cell cats on the dozers, dry dike and pushing cells
Okay.
for the dike.
Yeah.
Then did that and went on to the buck wheels, drag lines. Worked there for a few years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went around the mine there in Syncrude.
You weren't messing around.
Yeah.
My father worked there. Did you spend any time in any of the warehouses?
No, the
Okay.
only warehouse I worked at the beginning for probably a short time at the CMS shop
Okay.
at 41B.
41B.
41B at the main entrance at the main gate.
Do you know a gentleman named Gregory Pierre?
Yes, I do.
That's my father.
Yeah.
There you go.
I used to sweep floor in that CMS shop with a broom
Yeah.
and cleaning up behind the tradespeople.
He must have loved you because he's a clean freak.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So that's where I started with the broom.
Okay, very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I'll tell my dad that, hey, I had somebody on the show today that you
Yeah.
might remember. So yeah, he worked at 41B primarily for his like 38-year career out at Syncrude. He loved it. And,
Nice place to work.
Oh yeah.
All indoor.
Yeah.
You're not outside.
Not outside. That's
Yeah.
exactly. There's worse places to
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
There's
Minus
worse places
30, you
to
want to
be.
be inside.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just in there working in the warehouse. Loved it. I remember when he retired. It was a hard thing for him. He like literally
Yeah, yeah.
missed not just going to work, but the people that he worked with and like that community. It took him a few years to kind of ease into retirement.
Yeah.
So once you
Nice.
create a culture around you, it's hard, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. All right, my man. We're at the part of the show called the Mac City Minute. This is where Tanner's going to ask you some questions. I have no idea what he's going to ask you, so I wish you nothing but the best of luck. Tanner, hit him with the Mac City Minute.
Alrighty. Question number 1. What was your favorite part of growing up in such a small community?
My favorite part growing up in a small community is probably hanging around in the back door of my house, out in the trees, climbing trees and shooting little chickens, and kind of kept myself away from school. With my little buddies, we hang out like, miss school, but it's where we be.
Yeah.
That was our big thing then.
Question number 2. What is your favorite part of being an Indigenous run business?
My favorite part is, I guess for me, it's taking this risk that we took to start this business and didn't know where it was going to go with no business plan in place. It just happened and it kind of grew from there.
Question number 3. What is one thing about running a company that makes you appreciate your community?
It's, me and my wife Nicole are very, very big in giving back to our community. And that's like Fort McKay and Fort McMurray. I mean, we probably give back to our communities probably $250,000 a year.
Question number 4. What is one reason you're such a large supporter of Wood Buffalo?
It's just because where we come from and who we are. We're born and raised in Fort McKay, Fort McMurray, and of course my wife's from the Mickey-Suban is 240 kilometers downriver from Fort McKay, so that's probably the reason of why.
And your final question. If you weren't running a business, what would you want to be doing?
Flying planes and just sailing in the air. I love planes.
And those have been your 5 questions.
How did you meet your wife?
I met my wife, and it's so funny, you said that, because driving up here to your home here,
Yeah.
my wife's late sister used to live in the area here.
Okay.
And I remember one time I was driving, driving to Edmonton, and a nice Saturday afternoon, going to Edmonton, going south. And I was single at the time.
Yeah.
And the 2 boys, as Nicole's both brother-in-laws, Trevor and Harvey, they called me. They used to work for me when I used to manage Fort McKay group of companies. They were both working for me when I was a manager there. And I was probably by Marianne Lakes, and I got the call on my phone. They said, "What are you up to?" "I'm just cruising to Edmonton Saturday."
Yeah.
All alone. And he said, "You should come back to McMurray and come have barbecue with us."
Okay.
Okay. And I said, "What's the barbecue going on?" And then kind of filled me in. And Nicole's at our place here, and she's hanging. I didn't know Nicole at the time.
Okay.
So, okay, I turned my truck around and I said, I guess Edmonton's not going to happen this weekend.
Right.
So I came back to the barbecue there and in the area here up in Avisan, and slowly from there we started dating and met her then, and so it's kind of took off from there.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
awesome. A
yeah,
random
yeah.
phone call for a barbecue.
Yeah, and then and of course that
Best
went,
barbecue you've ever had, hey?
and of course it went on from there to the Albion site.
Okay.
And when Nicole used to work there for Sail Canada, and I used to run Fort McKay Group of Companies business there, I was the manager there. So
Yeah.
then we meet up in this building where we both work in the area. So
Right.
yeah, it's crazy how it turned out, but it
That's right.
turned out the best.
That's awesome. I love that story.
Yeah.
I most of the time when you meet somebody, like it's super random like that. Like you didn't know when you picked up that phone. You could have very easily said, you know what? I'm just gonna continue driving
Yeah.
south. I'm gonna go to Edmonton.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And now I've got a question for you. A few years ago, you sponsored an event that had Mark Messier come up,
Yes.
and you spent some time with him, I'm assuming. What's it like hanging out with Mark Messier?
You know, it's amazing. The best part for myself, I mean, ever since I known him, it's I used to go watch the Oiler games in Edmonton in the 80s when they're winning all these cups.
That's right.
And I had no money. I used to jump in a Greyhound bus
Okay.
just to go to Edmonton and watch the game, and stayed in a probably $30 hotel.
Right.
to
The
stay.
Coliseum Inn?
Yeah. Or the Forum Inn, you call that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then to have him up here in our home
Mm-hmm.
and doing what he did for the kids, it's amazing. Great person, the whole family,
Mm-hmm.
and the stories that they share back in their time in hockey career days.
Yeah.
It's amazing stories,
Yeah.
and it was a good time. And like ever since then, I've been invited probably to 10 events
Oh, really?
with Mark, like Bahamas, New York, Edmonton a few times.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, but this coming up next week, November 4th,
Yeah.
I'm invited to another big event with the ex-Oilers back in the 80s.
Okay.
They're hanging Kevin Lowe's jersey, so
If you need a date, I'm available.
So that's going to be
amazing.
exciting. That's
Yeah.
happening next week, and I'm looking forward to that.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
you've been able to connect with a bunch of the players from there.
Yes, all of them.
Wow.
Yeah, all the 80s. The boys won the cup in the 80s.
Nice.
Boys in the bus. Yeah.
When you took that loan for that vehicle, did you have any idea that it would like transform into like what you've built it into?
Never did. I mean, like when I took that, it was a high risk
Yeah.
for myself. And of course, that job I was doing was my backup. That's how I got to pay the bill.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I knew I had a good job with Fort McKay, and it was a very solid job,
Yeah.
good paying job.
Yeah.
And of course, when I met my wife, she came into the business to join my business with me in 2003.
Right.
And from then, we never did look back. And I mean, she took that to another level that
Yeah.
didn't expect that I'm going to grow that big
That's right.
today.
That's right.
And it wasn't part of the plan.
Yeah.
And I mean, today you got 900 employees,
Yeah.
400 piece equipment coming from one piece of equipment.
Right.
And it's a milestone. That's
Yeah.
something I never ever thought it'll be today.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's a beautiful story, especially you start from humble beginnings and you just say, listen, I'm going to take this risk. I'm going to work hard and hopefully it pans out.
Yeah.
And not only does it pan out, but it creates all these opportunities as a kid staying, going on a Greyhound bus, seeing somebody on the ice.
Yeah.
You actually get to say, no, I know this guy
Yeah.
and I've created a relationship with him. It's like, it's
Yeah.
a beautiful story, man.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good times. I mean, it was
Hard work.
challenging as you went along, but it was good.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, my man. That's the end of our show. So at the end of the show, though, everybody gets a shameless shout out or plug. So the cameras are on you, the lights are on you. Have fun.
Thank you very much, Fort McMurray, for having me here today on a Saturday afternoon. Thank you very much for having me.
There we go. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming. And if you ever want to come back again, that seat is always open to you.
Thank you very much for
Sweet.
having me.
All right, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and the rest of the world. That's been another episode of the Mac City Morning Show. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.